awesome. You've got a very strong heart. And just for training purposes, we're going to do one more screening. We're done. I take her up and we'd be done. I'm going to do one more screening just to see if I did get an accurate reading. And I'll go out on a limb here to say I think I did. I want someone in this position to sit back and relax a little bit more. And I do, again, we'll use the, remember, there's a flat screen TV here, and you just need to relax. And it's okay. Never feel like it's a bad thing to retest someone. Give them certainty that you are going to make sure that you give them the best read. So I'm going to notice how I have my hands on her wrist. I'm holding this button down here. I pull it up. I loop it through. And then I get my spacer and say you have amazingly beautiful, delicate wrists. Let me just, that might be a little snug, more snug than a watch. I use these two buttons to turn it on. And put your camera back on the screen. I obviously have a report here on the screen. In order to get out of it, I click the X to get out. And I have the machine on the wrist first. It's okay. It doesn't mean that one has to be on before the other. I'm going to hit start again. And the device is already turned on, so I've already got a pulse. I've already got the waveform. So I want to look and see if I get the similar waveform as I did before. Again, this is hard to read until I make it bigger. So all I got to do is put this on the screen, click the button, and now I've got it bigger. Now again, this is a little erratic. You see it was high here, down here. I'm going to touch the screen again. What it does is it'll make it about as big as it can given the highs and the lows. So now I'm going to ask, you can back up. Whitney, do you know if you have an irregular heartbeat?
No, but I know that when I eat MSG, it does that.
Okay. So I'm going to ask Whitney questions to try to determine if this is a regular look for her. And if you can put the camera back on the screen, it's all over the place. So I am not ready to do a scan right now. Something's not right. And that's good for me to know. So if you look at the watch, by the way, it says adjust, ADJ. If you look at the screen, go like this. If you look at the screen, it says it's got ADJ, which I believe stands for adjust. You can see kind of the pulse right there as well. So we're going to try that again. I'm going to keep it actually, I'm going to loosen it up just a little bit and see if that helped. Because remember I said it could be too tight? It felt a little tighter that time, didn't it? Excellent. So now it looks more consistent, but I'm still not happy with the way this looks. So this is a great example for training. If you're not happy with the waveform that you're getting, start over. So I'm going to loosen this up, slide it over, get the proper measure. If you're looking at the wrist, you can see I had this kind of snug. You can see where the spot was on her, where I had it before. I can test with my fingers to see if I had it centered right. And I do like where that spot was. Sometimes you'll find you need to do the test a little lower to find the right place. Sometimes you'll find it's easier to get closer to the knuckle. I'm going to move this a little bit. Wait. And cinch it down. Why don't you back up just a little bit? Remember, this is going to be snug again, a little more snug than a watch. And Whitney, if you look at the screen now, and for the camera purposes, this is the exact thing I'm looking for. I know that the screen isn't big yet, but look what I'm now looking at. This is the perfect waveform I'm looking for. So this is much different from what I had done before with you. Did you remember seeing? So now we're going to get a proper look. And it was just that, again, her radial pulse down there was a little deep inside, so I had to find the right spot. Also, the watch says good. So it feels like I've got I definitely know now because I've got exactly the pulse waveform I'm looking for. I've got the right read. This can be the hardest for someone to do at the very beginning, is to just figure out if you've got the right read. Now, because I've already got a Whitney Phillips in here, I'm going to put a Whitney Phillips 2 so I can see if there's any change. So Whitney, if you can be really still, it should already pre-populate her blood pressure and diastolic pressure. And now it's started. So with the camera on the screen, you can see that we've got this really good waveform. It usually takes 1 full pass or 2 for the numbers to show up here. And Whitney's doing a great job of being still. We can see that this is a pretty consistent pulse. We've got almost all the same lows, almost all the same highs. And if we look at our CASP, we can see the blood pressure is 88/63, which is very close to what we had before. Her CASP is 85. We look at the old CASP on her other form, it was 84. So remember, you can back up now. So again, this is only going to last for 60 seconds, but remember I said just put the camera right on me because you don't have to worry about that. Okay. Again, the CASP, the CASP and the radial augment index are the 2 variables we're using. Because I wasn't thrilled with the way the pulse waveform looked, I knew I wanted to do another test. I still did the analysis based on the first one, because what I've found is even if it's inaccurate, and we did get the watch on a little bit odd, it's still very close. And we'll see now through an accurate test, because sometimes the hardest thing to do can be to get it on the right spot. I know that any of us who have done enough scans, that can happen to you, so it's best to get a lot of practice before you get with the customer trying to do it. So I think we're about done here. Let it go through one more time. This is another thing, put it on the screen. We've definitely been on her for 60 seconds, but the screen did not shut off. This should zero out, and instead it's still reading her pulse. For some reason, sometimes the software will just keep reading. And back up for me. In that case, we don't need to do this for more than 60 seconds. I'm going to turn off the watch, the Bpro device, and I'm going to remove it. And again, look how she's, if you look at her hand, she's kind of wiggling her fingers. She's like, oh gosh, you know, that was on there for a while. I'll sometimes touch her hand and make her, like, it's okay. I talk, like, how does your hand feel? You want to show, camera on me, you want to show that you're concerned about someone's well-being. So, excellent. We're now going to direct Whitney's attention to the report, and you can, I'm going to browse for her stuff. Go to Whitney Phillips 2, come on in. Whitney Phillips 2. And now we're going to look at her waveform. So you can see we've got a much more, if you just look at the chart is very much more consistent. We still have the same bumps on her cardio pulse waveform as we did before, but you can see that this is much different. Now watch what happens, because the CASP, we'll go up to number 1, is 82, 82, 84, 83, 84, 83, 82. So even though we didn't get it perfect last time, we still have 82 to 84 as far as a rate. And we used an 84 for her CASP, so that's a very good measure. So let's look at a radial augment index, which before was variable. We have a 76, 69, 76, nothing. 79, 79, 79, nothing. So there were more forms that we could review. But basically, if you look at our form, we were very close. Between the 84 is basically spot on. The 72 may be a couple of points back up, so you can see both me and the thing. The 72 may be a little bit low, you know, by a couple of points, but again, we're looking for a range. The range will still fall into the same thing. If you look at the example, if we use this one of a 76 radial augment index, it still shows that she's in the 30 to 39 range of age. So even though we didn't get the perfect waveform, this is important for us to know what we're doing this. Sometimes, oftentimes we're going to get almost the exact same read. I prefer the perfect looking waveform to make sure we know, so I would suggest you do the same. But it doesn't mean you can't do the process if you're a little off, because you're going to get very accurate. At least that's what I found. So that's it. Thank you very much.